if you've been here before. This week I have a slightly different video for you because today marks the anniversary of the death of the greatest footballer of all time, Diego Armando Maradona. I went to Naples to pay my respects, and I'm hoping that this video will appeal to you even if you're not a football fan, because this story is about so much more than just football. I also have a very personal connection to Napoli Football Club because my godfather Pasquale Casale used to play for them in the Maradona days. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it on this channel before, but my father's Neapolitan, and he explained to me that during the 1980s, Napoli was the poorest city in Italy. It was also recovering from a deadly cholera outbreak in the 70s, a huge earthquake in 1980, there was high unemployment, and on top of that, frequent violent attacks carried out by the Camorra, the organised crime group. So it really wasn't a great place to be. During that time, a young Maradona was playing for Barcelona, but was extremely unhappy at the club and had asked to be sold to the highest bidder as soon as possible. No one expected Napoli to bid for him, but more importantly, no one thought he would go to a lowly club like Naples. They thought he'd go to one of the rich clubs in the north, like Juventus or Milan. But Maradona was born in the slums of Villa Fiorita. He understood the Neapolitan people and what it would represent to them if he came to the club. And so Maradona made his debut at the then called San Paolo Stadium in front of 80,000 adoring fans. And my father showed me a newspaper clipping of the time that reported something along the lines of, "Naples has no schools, housing, mayor or sanitation, but we have Maradona, so none of that matters." Although his impact didn't happen overnight, when Naples finally beat their biggest northern rivals, Juventus, it was reported that 5 people fainted in the stadium and 2 had heart attacks. Such was the excitement and joy that he brought to them. If this sounds over the top to you, then let me give you some context on the levels of abuse and prejudice that the Neapolitan fans suffered at the hands of the bigger clubs. They would chant at us that we were victims of cholera, we didn't know what soap was, and that even the dogs were running away from us. They mocked us for being victims of an earthquake and said that we'd even have to turn to prostitution to pay for Maradona. To be honest, I think these chants probably just spurred Maradona on, and he did lead us to our first Scudetto win in 1987, which was the first victory of any southern team. It was at this time that Maradona became a kind of religious symbol for the Neapolitans. For every picture of Jesus displayed in the streets, there was one of Maradona right next to him. As I'm sure you can appreciate, the celebrations were unprecedented and went on for a very long time. My favourite image of that Scudetto win was that somebody graffitied on the wall of a cemetery, "You don't know what you've missed," in Neapolitan dialect, and that really typifies the spirit of the Neapolitan humour for me. He was a symbol of hope for those struggling against oppression and poverty, and he finally gave that sense of pride back to the Neapolitans who had been missing it for so many years before. During his 7 years at Napoli, he managed to win a Coppa Italia, the UEFA Cup, and another title in 1990, but he also brought in 200 billion lire in revenue. In the next part of this video, I will show you how this regeneration that started with Maradona is still going on to this day. Whenever I come to Naples, I always head straight for the Centro Storico, or the historic centre, because this for me is the beating heart of the city. I like to come here once every couple of months to catch a game and to just soak in the general atmosphere of such a bustling place. Last year, Napoli won its first Scudetto since the Maradona days, and the whole place exploded. Here in the Quartieri Spagnoli, the Spanish quarters, you can see just how passionate the fans are about the win and about Maradona himself. I was lucky enough to be here to take part in the celebrations, so check out my shorts if you want to see the crazy atmosphere. Although we obviously adore Diego, we couldn't go without celebrating the heroes of last season's win, so this street celebrates all of those champions. A trip to Naples isn't complete without a visit to Gambrinus, a beautiful coffee house that is renowned for being frequented by the intellectual elite. Unfortunately, the rain hasn't eased off, so it's time for some shopping in the Galleria Umberto. I was lucky enough to get a room at this B&B with an amazing view over the famous Maradona mural. When he died on the 25th of November 2020, fans gathered here to pay their respects, and since then it's become a place of pilgrimage for all Napoli and Maradona fans. This area was once a hotspot for crime but has now completely regenerated, such is the power of Maradona's legacy. After Diego's death, the San Paolo Stadium was rightly renamed the Maradona, and although we were all devastated about the news, and I still am to this day, I feel like these murals are our way of keeping him alive in the city. I don't care what people say about Pele or Messi, no sportsman has ever had the impact that Maradona has had on a population, and he is and always will be the greatest footballer of all time. Fact. I hope you've enjoyed this little departure from the norm. I would love to know where you're all based so I know whether to carry on these videos in English or to provide subtitles or to do them in Italian. So please let me know in the comments where you're based, and next week I will be starting my Christmas content, so I will see you soon.